You know why Stanford University doesn't have a welcome mat? Because if you can get in, you're probably already used to rolling out the red carpet for yourself. Stanford, my friends, is not just any university. It's the metaphorical Mount Everest of academia. With an acceptance rate of less than 4%, it's more selective than the VIP list at a Hollywood gala. In fact, it's even more selective than MIT, Caltech, and Yale. But don't let that discourage you. Just think of it as a challenge, like trying to eat a whole pizza by yourself or getting a cat to follow instructions. This university received an astonishing 56,378 applications for the class of 2026, but only 2,075 got the golden ticket. It's like the Hunger Games, but instead of fighting with weapons, you're armed with your SAT scores and GPA. Speaking of which, the mid-50% SAT scores for Stanford range from 1,500 to 1,570, and the average GPA is an impressive 3.95. So if you're aiming for Stanford, you better bring your A game. And by A game, I mean straight A's. But don't think they're only interested in your grades. Nah, Stanford likes their students like a good salad. Well-rounded. They're interested in your extracurricular activities, your recommendations, and your personal qualities. So if you're not captain of the chess team, founder of a charity, a master pianist, and a potential Nobel laureate, you might want to get on that. Stanford's student body is as diverse as a box of assorted chocolates. They've got individuals from all 50 states and 64 countries. It's like a mini United Nations, but with more homework and fewer diplomatic crises. Remember, folks, Stanford is like a celebrity party. You can't just show up, you gotta be invited. If you think getting a letter from Hogwarts is hard, try getting an acceptance letter from Stanford. Now you might be thinking, I didn't get my Hogwarts letter because I'm not a wizard. Well, let me tell you, getting into Stanford requires a certain kind of magic too. It's not about waving wands or chanting spells, but rather about conjuring up impressive SAT scores and a sparkling GPA. You see, Stanford is like the Hogwarts of universities. Not only because it's as selective as a sorting hat, but the level of academic excellence it demands is nothing short of magical. The mid-50% SAT scores of Stanford students range from 1,500 to 1,570. That's like being able to cast a Patronus charm on your first try. And let's not forget about grades. An average GPA of 3.95 at Stanford is like being top of the class in potions, defense against the dark arts, and transfiguration combined. So if Hermione Granger is your spirit animal, you're on the right track. But remember, even in Hogwarts, it's not all about spell books and wizard duels. Stanford values well-rounded applicants. Just like Harry, Hermione, and Ron, you need to show that you can juggle Quidditch, saving the wizarding world and your academics with ease. And by Quidditch, we mean your extracurricular activities, of course. In the end, getting into Stanford is no less challenging than getting into Hogwarts. It requires a unique blend of academic prowess, personal qualities, and a dash of that Stanford-specific magic. So if you're waiting for an owl to drop your Stanford acceptance letter, better make sure it's carrying your SAT scores and GPA too. Stanford isn't looking for just bookworms. They're looking for bookworms who can juggle, play the piano, and maybe do a little stand-up on the side. That's right, folks, being a genius is great, but it's not the golden ticket into Stanford. You'll need a little something extra, a bit of pizzazz to catch the admission officer's eye. You see, Stanford is like a gourmet restaurant. Sure, they love their prime-grade intellects, but they also want a dash of leadership, a sprinkle of creativity, and a generous dollop of community involvement. They're after an intellectual buffet, not just a main course of straight A's. Now don't panic. You don't need to be a concert pianist or a champion swimmer. Extracurricular activities are about showing passion, dedication, and a willingness to go above and beyond. It's about demonstrating that you can balance your academics with other interests and that you're not afraid to step outside your comfort zone. And then there are personal qualities. Stanford wants students who are not only smart, but also kind, empathetic, and good team players. They're looking for people who can contribute positively to the community and who have a strong sense of social responsibility. So, if you've ever helped an elderly neighbor with their groceries or volunteered at a local shelter, make sure to mention it. In a nutshell, Stanford wants to see the real you, not just your GPA or SAT scores. They want to know what makes you tick, what you're passionate about, and what you can bring to their campus. So let your personality shine through. Show them that you're more than just a transcript. So if you're thinking of getting into Stanford, better start adding some spice to your life. Stanford's not just a university, it's like an international potluck. They've got students from every state in 64 different countries. So if you're not good at geography, you might want to start practicing. Imagine a map of the world, but instead of countries, it's filled with the faces of Stanford students. From the Golden Gate to the Great Wall, from the sunny beaches of Australia to the icy stretches of Antarctica, Stanford's student body is as diverse as the United Nations. Now, let's dig into this potluck, shall we? Picture a buffet table stretching as far as the eye can see, laden with dishes from around the globe. There's pizza from Italy, sushi from Japan, tacos from Mexico, and curry from India. And just like this smorgasbord of cuisines, Stanford's student body is a mix of different cultures, backgrounds, and perspectives. But don't be fooled into thinking that this is just about food. Stanford isn't looking for people who can cook a mean lasagna or roll the perfect sushi. They're looking for individuals who can bring their unique culture and perspective to the Stanford community. They're looking for people who can add a new ingredient to their international potluck. Remember, diversity is not just about where you come from, but also about who you are. Maybe you're a chess prodigy from Alaska, a bagpipe player from Scotland, or a ballet dancer from Brazil. Whatever your unique flavor is, Stanford wants a taste. So whether you're from the sunny coasts of California, the bustling streets of New York, or a small town in the heart of Africa, Stanford welcomes you. They want students who can enrich their community with their unique experiences and perspectives. And just like at any good potluck, the more diverse the dishes, the better the feast. So, don't be afraid to bring your own unique dish to the table. After all, who knows? Your culture, your uniqueness, could be the secret ingredient that Stanford's been waiting for. So, if you're planning to apply to Stanford, make sure you bring your culture and uniqueness to the table. Applying to Stanford is like trying to high-five the sun. It's a reach, a really, really, really long reach. Imagine being an ant, looking up at Mount Everest and thinking, yep, I'm going to climb that. That's sort of what applying to Stanford feels like. But hey, every mountain is climbed one step at a time, right? Now, we all know Stanford's prestige is sky high, right up there with the sun. And while we all love to dream big, it's important to keep our feet firmly planted on the ground. That's where a balanced college application list comes in. Picture it like a salad bar. Sure, you want to reach for the fancy gourmet croutons, that's your Stanford. But you also need to fill your plate with other nutritious options. That's your state colleges, your community colleges, and your other private institutions. And just like at a salad bar, variety is key. You don't want an application list that's all lettuce and no tomatoes. You want a mix of reach schools, match schools, and safety schools. Reach schools are your Everest, the ones that make your palms sweat a bit. Match schools are your friendly neighborhood hills, challenging but doable. And safety schools are your home turf, your backyard, where you feel most comfortable. And remember, the aim isn't just to get into a prestigious university, but to find a place where you'll thrive, learn, and grow. So don't let those daunting acceptance rates scare you off. Embrace the challenge and use it as fuel to push yourself even harder. So if Stanford is your dream, remember to keep your feet on the ground while you're reaching for the stars. After all, every stargazer knows that the journey is just as important as the destination. And who knows? You might just high-five that sun after all.